Hey everybody, it's Jason Wood from 11 O'Clock Comics, and it's time to talk previews. Everybody's favorite massive catalog of the comics and comics-related goodies that are coming our way in a few months at our favorite stores. This is catalog number 414 for March 2023, and the vast majority of what we talk about today will be in your shops in May or later. So let's jump in. It's, as always, a big old thick catalog, so lots of ground to cover. I'm going to skip right over to the image section. And this could be really neat. Image is my favorite publisher. They have been for a long time. I just think no one can touch them when it comes to the breadth of their offerings. This is Arcade Kings, a new 5-issue miniseries, and it's written and drawn by Dylan Burnett. I have been a fan of Dylan's work as an artist for some time. I own a bunch of his art. I don't know that I've ever read a story he's written before, but he's trying to do that DWJ thing, and hey, if he can be half as successful as DWJ, I'm sure he would take it. But this looks a lot of fun. It's basically a mashup of Sentai Kaiju stories with arcade game aesthetics, and I think that could be a sweet spot. It's a perfect bound book to boot, and we get a bunch of pages of the preview art, so you can know exactly what you're getting before you jump aboard. This is an easy pass, although I know a lot of people are probably chuckling. Simon Kodransky is writing and drawing his own book. More power to him. I wish him well. The Savage Strength of Starstorm, written by Drew Craig, who I'm guessing because there's a cover by Wes Craig is related to Wes. I assume it's his brother. I'm not quite sure. I know Wes personally, so I'm going to reach out to him and ask him, but I'm guessing he is some relation. Maybe it's his son. I don't know. I don't think it's his son because Wes is pretty young, so I'm going to guess it's his brother. But either way, another Craig is making a foray into comics with a new science fiction, space-based series. And the art looks pretty neat. So, looks like it's very different than Wes's style, but certainly looks up to snuff. It has a bit of a Trad Moore vibe to it. So, I don't know, maybe this is the next Felix comic art artist. Who's to say? Saladin Ahmed and Megan Levins and Kelly Fitzpatrick have a new book called Star Signs. I have to say, Image cracks me up these days. They do these little like elevator pitch blurbs where they take like the book they're soliciting and then talk about if you like this and this, then you'll like this. Kind of a mashup, and they're always ridiculous. So this reads The Wicked and Divine meets Radiant Black. I mean, and of course they always pick Image books. Yeah, so disregard those, they're silly. But it says the constellations of the zodiac fall to Earth, granting 12 ordinary people from very different walks of life the superhuman powers of the star signs. As it turns out, I've always thought that the Zodiac supervillain team at Marvel, which are jobbers, I mean they're like the Wrecking Crew or the Royal Flush Gang. They're one of those groups that are in a comic basically to get beaten up quickly by the hero. But I've always thought it was cool. Like the Zodiac's cool in concept as villains, so I'm here for this idea actually. At first, when I was looking through the catalog the first time, I kind of glanced over these pages and thought probably not for me. But that's why you need to read the solicits, because I think this idea could have some merit. We've got a trade paperback of 20th Century Men, which I haven't read yet, but I know many of you are fans of. We've got a hardcover of Art Brut by Maxwell Prince and Martin Morazzo. Vince and David just spoke lovingly about Ice Cream Man, which is their other big work at Image, on last week's episode. And this is a hardcover that collects the first 4 issues of Art Brut. Got Chuck Brown's series Flawed in collection. Very happy to see Hauntology. I backed the Kickstarter and read it a few weeks ago. I thought it was just absolutely stunning work by Jeremy Haun. It's it's a horror anthology that he drew all of it, but it's an anthology, short stories. They're extremely well done, poignant. There's 28 short stories in this collection, and it's very personal work. I mean, he draws himself, his family in it. It just hit me right. I think it's a very well done horror anthology, and if you are a fan of horror comics, you will love this. Full stop. I can't imagine anybody that likes horror comics not getting something out of this collection. So I would prioritize this if you're looking for one or two recommendations. I mean, I make a lot of recommendations each month, but if you're going to heed my advice on a more limited basis because of budget, then I would put Hauntology at or near the top of my recommendations for the month. Got a bunch of collections of stuff. I enjoyed Bloodstained Teeth. I got it in issues. Certainly, Invincible is now coming out in compendiums. That was a great series. The Ambassadors is Mark Miller and Olivier Coipel's series. We're in issue 4 of that. And 5, I guess they're soliciting 2 this month. Black Cloak, we've talked about on the show. It's Kelly Thompson's first creator-owned book in a long, long time. The Giant Kokuju, Jerry Duggan's send-off on kaiju. Basically, it's a kind of an R-rated 80s style kaiju stories where you've got kaiju who are naughty and are into sex and have big genitalia and all the like. So very sophomoric, over the top stuff, but done right. It was a webcomic that's now being printed, so some of you have probably already read the content. I Hate This Place continues to be awesome. Immortal Sergeant, we're halfway through, the Joe Kelly, Ken Nomura. I read the first issue, enjoyed it quite a bit, but I did decide that I was going to wait for all 9 issues and then read it in one fell swoop just to get the full impact. Kaya continues to be awesome by Wes Craig. Of course, The Little Monsters, which I love that they're ending it on issue number 13 because it is a supernatural book. So instead of ending it on 12, as is often the practice these days, particularly for like Tom King books are almost always 12 issues. I like that Jeff and Dustin are doing 13 for that. And how could I not call attention to Local Man, the amazing smash hit of the year by our good friend Tony Fleece and his creative partner Tim Seeley. Love Everlasting and The Magic Order are both awesome. We've got The End of Nightclub, another Mark Miller book. That one drawn by Juanan Ramirez. Saga continues to talk about. I love how Saga stunts, right? Like Saga solicits now are like 1/2 sentence because they don't really need to sell you. It's Saga. You're going to buy it and you're going to love it. And if you're not buying it and loving it, then I don't know what's wrong with you. Jeff's new series, Phantom Road, number 3. Got the end of the latest arc of Time Before Time. I'm admittedly behind on it. I read the first 2 arcs as they were coming out. It's been piling up now, but not because I haven't enjoyed it. I just am behind on it. We've got Vanish, which is good to see. It's been a little sporadic in its release dates because I think there's been some personal issues going on, but hopefully this is a sign that we are back on track because this book certainly was highly anticipated and got off to a rocking start out of the gates. Okay, so that will do it for Image. We're going to go through much of the rest of the catalog. We'll go through faster because it's going to be a little bit more hit or miss. We've got Boom, a new Buffy. They've done Buffy comics at Boom for a long, long time now, and they're quite good. I loved Buffy, the TV show. I always say, I think I would like Buffy comics in almost any form. They're generally well done, but it never seems to quite make the cut for me. Not because I don't think I would enjoy it, though. Cullen Bunn has got a new series drawn by Leo Max and Brian Hurt, 2 excellent cartoonists. It's a new ongoing. It's a supernatural ongoing story. So Cullen, for those that don't know, has done a ton of horror comics. I don't know that it's his preferred genre, but it's certainly his most prolific genre. So hopefully it is also his most preferred. But either way, he's quite adept at it. And Leo Max and Hurt are both in their own rights terrific visual storytellers. So I think that one could be pretty cool. It's a 12-issue miniseries. We've got the collection of Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, the first arc. Very excited. I've been buying the issues, but if you're waiting for the collection, here it is. Jason Aaron making his wonderful triumphant return to creator-owned comics. We've got House of Slaughter continuing apace. Harrower, I liked the first issue. We've got the fourth and final issue here, so I'm probably going to see it through. I wouldn't say it's top of the stack, but I liked what I saw in the first issue. The Power Rangers and Magic stuff are not up my alley, but I heard they're well done. We're hopping over to Dark Horse. We've got a new Mike Mignola property called Miss Truesdale and the Fall of Hyperborea, number 1 of 4. Couple things about this. One, it's Mignola writing it. 2, it's Jesse Lonergan drawing it. That's a team up I wasn't expecting to see and I'm thrilled to see. I think Jesse's an awesome cartoonist. And also a good writer in his own right, but in this case, he's drawing for Mike, and I'm sure he's more than happy to do that. And this is a new property for Mignola, so I'm here for it. It's basically I can't remember the last time we saw a non-Hellboy de novo idea from Mignola. So yeah. We've got Hairball is Matt Kinth's new miniseries with Tyler Jenkins, number 2 of 4. I was pretty disappointed in Blue Book issue 1, especially given the power of the creative team involved. Michael Avon Oeming and James Tynan IV. So I'm not sure if I'll be seeing it through to, it's a 5-issue miniseries, but I am open to the idea that issue 1 was each one is each issue is a quote-unquote true story of alien abduction, and so I think each one will be its own thing and not necessarily connected. So I'm going to give issue number 2 a try and hope that it bounces back from what I thought was a pretty flat first issue, and if number 2 hits the mark, then I will continue with the rest of it. But that's definitely like a men's and men's right now. I can't fully recommend it. Clear, on the other hand, this is the third of 3 issues. I read this on Comixology as it was originally published, and that's a really cool story. It's basically a world not too far in the future where everybody sees the world through virtual lenses. So like you can put a skin over the world. So maybe it's steampunk or video game or, 90s hip hop, whatever scene or visual aesthetic you're into, that's how you perceive the world, except for our protagonist is one of the few who doesn't use AR, and they get caught up in a bit of a crime caper. Not sure about these. I have to look more into them. I don't think I'm planning on getting either. I didn't order the first issue, so probably not. But Where Monsters Lie, we got issue 4 of 4, the final issue. Peter Kowalski and Kyle Starks. You've heard us, if you're up to date on the podcast, talking about the first 2 issues already. Okay, that will do it for Dark Horse. Dynamite, we're going to be very fast because I don't generally get much from Dynamite. So, lots of Vampirella usually. As you can see, lots and lots of Vampirella. You've got Elvira. Not sure who's reading that much Elvira, but someone must be. They're doing a big push for Disney villains. They've got the Gargoyles reboot. Now, Darkwing Duck, I was going to say was going to be here. I'm very much enjoyed the first 2 issues of Darkwing Duck. Pure nostalgia bomb, but it's nostalgia that means a lot to me personally, so that's a win. Barbarella, 007, Deja Thoris, Purgatory, the usual suspects. Aftershock. We've got, I don't think I'm currently getting anything from Aftershock. Yeah, nothing from Aftershock. Titan Comics. I don't, this is a horror game called Dead by Daylight. Never played it myself, so can't speak to it, but I know some people are quite excited that they're turning that into a comic. As for those that don't know, Marvel has somehow lost the rights to Conan again. Don't know how or why. Titan's now got them, and for like the 80th time, we're getting Conan omnibus reprints. Marvel put out like all of the Conan OG and the Savage Sword comics in omnibus form over the last 6-7 years. So this is just more of that. I don't know if there's much difference between it. Probably not, other than they can't, I guess, say that it's Marvel on here anymore. It says Conan Comics Group, which is really weird. Super weird. So yeah, I would say you're probably better off, honestly, if you want to read it in its original form, getting the Marvel omnibus that are largely, I think, still available for cover price or close to it, I would imagine. Okay. Ablaze, very excited to see Animal Castle back. I didn't know they were going to do more Animal Castle, but the first volume had so much heart, and the art was just jaw-dropping. It looked like you were watching cell animation from a wonderful, like, animated film from the late 80s. It just was stunning, stunning stuff, and had so much heart. So the fact that they're coming back for a second volume is a nice surprise. And you can see some of the solicit art. It's just jaw-dropping stuff. Like I said, it's pristine, impeccable artwork. And I, you know, that alone, even if the story wasn't that great, I think the art alone would make it worthwhile of having. But if the second volume is anything like the first, it's gonna get you in the feels. Okay, we've got the Frank Miller Presents. I don't know that I've heard a single person talk about these books ever, but it is Frank Miller, so I presume somebody's buying them. I mean, I know Vince is buying them. I just don't know we've talked much about them. We've got the back of the previews, which is all the smaller publishers, and Abstract Studios, Terry Morse. He's got the Strangers in Paradise Omnibus solicited for like the 20th time. I guess he's taking the month off from Parker Girls. Maybe he needed a month off. More power to him. So this is going to be hit or miss. We'll go through and I will try and point out the hidden gems amongst the noise. Avatar continues to try and blow out an absolute massive amount of inventory of the stuff they put out a decade ago. I have to think if you haven't bought it by now, you're never going to buy it, but hey. We've got AWA Upshot. They do some pretty cool stuff from time to time. I don't think there's anything this month that I'm particularly focused on, though. Black Mask. So far, so quiet here in the back. Yeah, I don't see much yet. Okay, Clover generally has some stuff that I'm into. Let's see. Terry and the Pirates. I know that David and Vince have both been getting these Terry and the Pirate collections. There's a lot of them, so it's a big commitment in terms of. I think it's like 100. Yeah, it's $100 a pop. So, and I think they're up to volume 13. So this is a big financial commitment. You have to be really into Terry and the Pirates to do it. I am not getting them, but I know that my my boos love this stuff. So. We have got, interesting. So that's interesting. I just noticed that we had the Dark Horse section up front, and now we have a Dark Horse section in the back, which is weird. I've never seen that before. This is new, with a bunch of reprints of stuff that they've put out over the years. I don't know why it's not in the front with the rest of Dark Horse. That's weird. Okay. Yeah, it's very strange. Like I said, I've never seen that before. This could be cool. This is a new publisher, Dead Good, but Octobriana and the Underground Full Tilt Boogie, #1 of 2. I don't know the creative team, but I like what I see here on the pages, and I like the idea of Octobriana. Jim Rugg did a cool Octobriana project a few years ago on Kickstarter, where the whole comic was Dayglow, and it was fun, so I'll probably be checking this out. I'm going to take a leap of faith and check this out. We've got Drawn in Quarterly, which often has great stuff. I see here we've got some Adrian Tomine resolicits. I have it already, but if you don't, we've got a Linda Barry resolicit. So it looks like mostly resolicits this month, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, again, all this stuff is very much worth your time and dollars, but I don't think any of it's new. Talk to My Back was my favorite manga of 2022, so I can definitely recommend that if you didn't pick it up last year. Lots of new publishers popping up. Okay, Fantagraphics, we're always good for Fantagraphics. You've got Pisker's Red Room Continues. You've got Sea of Lies by Leonie Bischoff. The solicit art looks incredible, so I'm all over that. You've got Listen Beautiful Marcia, which it's an English language debut. It's basically a dramatic graphic novel about a woman growing up in a violent family. I don't know a ton about it, but I've heard it's quite good from those who read it in its original form, and so I have such faith in Fantagraphics that, and they're such incredible curators of quality that it doesn't take much for me to take a leap into Fantagraphics stuff. And certainly I will also be getting Salome's Last Dance, Daughters of Snow and Cinders, and Mystic Debris. So big month for me from Fantagraphics as usual. Got the Disney stuff that they do. It's pretty cool they're doing Tailspin reprints. Didn't realize that. I must have missed the first volume, but maybe I'll grab that when I have the opportunity through the Fantagraphics annual 50% off sale that they have on their website. So it's always good to sometimes it's good to miss a few solicits in Fanta so that you can avail yourselves of that online sale. And we've got Santos Sisters number 4. So it's really cool to see Greg and Fake putting out Santos Sisters much more frequently after doing that first issue. It took them a few years of a lot of personal travails to put out. And then I think we had like a year in between the first and the second, but I feel like this is the number 4 we're getting less than 6 months after 2 and 3, so that's pretty good. Pretty good. Gotta love seeing Jack Davis get some tout. He is one of the greatest cartoonists of any era. He's my favorite of the EC/Mad family of cartoonists, and I gobble up anything I can by him or about him. Okay, let's see. Humanoids. We've got some other Inkle stories. They've been doing some... Dan Waters has been doing some work in the Inkleverse of late. More Meta Baron stuff by Jodorowsky. Can never go wrong there. Sad to see IDW here in the back, but that's the world we live in today. They used to be prominently featured as a front of the catalog publisher. So, yeah, you hate to see it, but it is what it is. Doesn't mean that the books they're putting out aren't quality. Just means that they've downsized a bit. Lots of Star Trek books. I'll leave that to Dap to recommend to you because he's much more plugged in there than I am. For those that don't know, IDW has recently lost a lot of the licenses that they had for G.I. Joe and Transformers most specifically. So, that's why they've downsized. All right, we're going through Mad Cave right now. Magnetic, this is going to be pretty cool. The first adventure of Sherlock Holmes, A Study in Scarlet. It is, of course, Arthur Conan Doyle. And I will say, just so you know, this is not a pure comic book. It is, I believe it is a novelization that also has illustrations, I think. Maybe it is a graphic novel. I'm going to have to look more into this. Sorry, I don't know all the details here. I should have looked this up before we recorded. But if this is a pure graphic novel adaptation, then I am over the moon because I think this would also probably be the first of multiple that we get about Sherlock Holmes, and that would make me very, very happy. I'm probably getting it either way, but I would say if it's a novel with illustrations, it's like a 5 out of 10 of excitement. If it's a full-on graphic novel adaptation of A Study in Scarlet, it is a 10 out of 10. And we've got Oni. Another Cullen Bunn's busy this month. We've got another horror book from Cullen called Lamentation. The third volume of the Somnies, Jonah and the Unpossible Monsters. Sorry for the quiet, but there's not a ton here I see worthy of pointing out to you. Okay. Another Cullen Bunn book, Nightwalkers. Busy, busy. Source Point's putting out a lot of comics. I don't know that I've read a Source Point book yet, though. Okay. Valiant. I was once very beholden to the world of Valiant. Here we've got Vault. We've got Queen of Swords, a new series written by Marco Morici with art by Corin Howell. This spins out of the pages of Barbaric, which has me excited. I love Barbaric, so I will be checking that out for sure. We've also got Barbaric Hell to Pay #4 by Morici with Nate Gooden. And then I don't know that I shouted this out the first issue, and I meant to, so I will shout out the second issue. Money Shot comes again. This is #2 of the new Money Shot series, which I believe is the third of the Money Shot runs. For those that don't know, it's basically a bunch of people go out in space and get into XXX pornographic adventures. So, you know, it's definitely not for the kiddos. It's raucous and funny, and I thought it was a lot of fun. And I'm so excited to buy the third volume because it's written by Tim Seeley. But even more importantly, it is drawn by a longtime friend and former guest of the show, Giselle Legasse. So I actually spoke to Giselle about this a month ago when I saw the first issue solicited, and she's quite excited by it, having a lot of fun doing it. And if you know Giselle's aesthetic, you know that she is more than up to the task to draw sex comics. Whatnot continues to churn out the content. Makes me feel old because I don't know much about Whatnot. And then we've got, Zenoscope always wraps up things. And then we've got some manga. I don't think there's anything in the manga section that is particularly important to me, but you all know that I am pretty finicky when it comes to the manga. I don't read a lot of it, so kind of rely on the rest of you to tell me what is the hotness, the must read, and I check that out. So yeah, so we're not gonna go through the rest of the manga. That will do it. Again, not a huge month in the main catalog. Lots of stuff from Image, and lots of stuff from Fantagraphics, probably not surprisingly. But because of the size of the Marvel and DC catalogs this month, it's still going to be a pretty big overall order. And I hope you enjoyed this romp through the main catalog. We went through it pretty quickly, so I'm sure there's lots of things that I missed that you're like screaming at me for and think that I should have been very excited to talk about. So please make sure you hit me up and let me know what you are excited about and what you think that I should go back and check out because I missed it. Because I can tell you that no matter how many times I go through previews and how many times we do podcasts and how many times we sit down and read comics, there are always things that come out that I completely miss. And then a year or two later, I read and think, how did I not see this when it was coming out? So it's inevitable, and I count on all of you fine people to rectify the gaping holes in my order form. There you have it, and we will be back next month, as always, to talk more previews. Until then, please make sure to get your orders in because pre-ordering is vital to the health of the industry. Take care.